Yeah, no, it's a serious topic, so I don't want to make light of it at all.
Even though I don't know these families, you get attached and it hits you in some way or another. Some families are different. They'll say, is my dad in the cooler?
Yeah.
So one of the things I see a lot, can I just see them? Can you just put them on a table and, don't I get to identify the body? Stuff like that. And, it's not like they show on the movies. A process for that we call minimal preparation. There's things that our embalmer does to make them look restful. Family, we don't want their last image of their loved one to be, something gruesome.
Hello, family and friends. Welcome to another Talks with Lemonade. This is available to the billions around the world on YouTube in 4K and audio streaming services like Pandora, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. And now onto the podcast. All right, David, thank you for joining us. So you're a funeral director?
Technically, funeral arranger.
Arranger?
I do the same thing as a director, just without the degree.
Okay. So what are some of the...
Wait, you can go to college and get a funeral director degree? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you can just get a associate's in anything. And as long as you pass the state exam, you can get your funeral director's license, yeah.
Okay.
What are some of the top suggestions? One that I saw in your bio that I thought was really interesting is how people could save money choosing certain directions.
Wait, I want to know what kind of questions are on the funeral director test.
Okay.
Do you know any of the questions?
Yeah, it's mostly just making sure that you know what the state laws are in regards to funerals and
to handling the deceased.
Yeah, simple things like you need a permit to bury or cremate.
Yeah.
Or cross state lines, stuff like that.
Is there a rule like you have to be buried 6 feet underground, or is that a old-fashioned thing?
No, yeah, it's pretty much 6 feet. Now they have double plots where you have one plot on top of the other.
Yeah.
So those go a bit deeper.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's a serious topic, so I don't want to make light of it at all, but I am curious about those sort of things.
Oh, go for it.
Those are fascinating, yeah.
Yeah, we joke all the time at work, and that's how we get through.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet you have to. I mean, I'm guessing it'd be just a dark topic and can be hard dealing with the topic of death all the time.
For me, it's I've been doing it for so long. It's just sometimes, I don't get complacent or used to it. Sometimes I'll get choked up, I'll admit, even though I don't know these families, you get attached and it hits you in some way or another,
Do you find as you get older, it gets emotionally tougher at all? Like for the reason why I ask in that way is as I get older, I watch like if my wife is watching a rom-com and there's that sad part, and like even I start tearing. I'm like, man, I hate rom-coms. Like, one,
you're turning into a softie.
Yeah, I think so. I guess as I grow older, my testosterone levels are going down or something. I'm not sure what it is.
No, yeah. To answer your question, older I get, yeah. You become wiser and your thoughts run deeper. When you're young, you're just,
right. Thinking about night clubbing.
Yep. You just go for it.
But I would imagine in that job, in that role, you're around death all the time. It would suck. Yeah, but it would suck to just be sad all the time, right? You can't be moping around. You can't let everything affect you, right? Because then it would chew you up, I would think.
Yeah, you have to separate the tragedy from, the reality. You have to be strong for these families to help them get through it. So,
nice.
My job wouldn't work out if, I was crying with them every time. If
you were falling apart.
Yeah.
I would imagine for some families that show, I'm guessing, I don't know, some families would think that's for you to show that much emotion also means that you're putting care into the situation. I don't know if, when you mentioned some of the top things is how people could save money dealing with the funeral services and stuff. And some funeral houses it's for profit, right? So families can come in and worry that they're not being treated well. So the way you handle it.
Yeah. I mean, there is ways to save money, but the things that you do pay for, most of the time I'll give you an example. Like for caskets, some people say, I'm going to buy my casket from Costco.
Yeah.
Well, the positive benefit of buying a casket through a funeral home is they can replace it a lot faster than Costco can if it's damaged.
Mm.
So there's an upside to spending the money, but the markup is pretty high, I will say. But it's for a reason. It's so they can be served properly. Nothing has to be delayed. If something's damaged, we'll replace it right away. It's just third-party caskets and urns. We have to ship them back and wait. So it just prolongs everything.
What are some of the things that most people don't know what a funeral arranger does? What are some of the back end stories or
behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes,
like it's not just meeting with the family and going over funeral details. It's loads and loads of paperwork. We deal with legal documents. We have to process death certificates through the state system, the vital records.
Yeah.
So it's not just meet with the family and then my job is done. I have to see it all the way through.
So is there permitting each time, or do you have an overall permit from the city or something?
It's a permit from the state. It's a burial transit permit.
Yeah.
So with that, you can cross state line because they might ask for that. If you stop at a checkpoint and they see an urn seat belted in the back seat, they might say, "Hey, do you have a permit for that?"
Yeah. My dad died recently in on May 2nd, and so I recently went through that process, and luckily everything went well, and the funeral home that we used was nice and decent, and there was a church that helped out a lot, but we ended up cremating my dad and putting him in a nice urn, but he rides in the front seat always. Because he loved riding shotgun, so I seatbelt him in.
I'm very sorry for your loss, Emmett.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. He had a long run. He was 73, and we got to do some really fun things in his retirement years with him. So
awesome.
So I'm sad to lose him, but I feel lucky that we had him so long and that we were able to do so much together. So yeah, not to turn it to my grief, but just that I can relate to transporting an urn around. They did give us whatever the paperwork is, if we were going to take them on a plane or something, or like you said, cross a border.
Mm-hmm.
I know here, like when you go back to California, like there's that fruit check stand. So you wouldn't want them to be like, "Hey, I know you got no fruit, but do you have a permit for that?"
Yeah.
For those human remains over there?
Yeah. What are some of in that case, so those laws are in place to stop people from, are people grave robbing or you don't want people transporting these dead bodies into your state? No, sorry. I didn't mean to cut off your serious answer.
Oh, it's okay. I think a big part of it is, they want to make sure the decedent didn't pass away due to something, that's contagious. It still lives on with non-living. So they want to make sure if it's something extremely contagious, they want to, bury them as soon as possible. Or they might decline the crossover into the other state.
Oh, so like recently, if somebody died of coronavirus, you wouldn't want to be moving fresh bodies around, right? Is that the idea?
In regards to coronavirus, pretty much the only thing that changes, because embalming is usually not required, but if a family has someone that tested positive for COVID that passed away, and they want to have an open casket, in that case, we would have to embalm. Yeah.
So obviously then you have a lot of health department regulations that you fall under. Is that another set of licensing and permitting and rules and paperwork as well?
What, for the embalming?
Just in your business, right? Do you have to deal with the health department a lot?
Just as much as anyone else does. You know, they do their inspections and make sure, you know, we're, well, it's actually not from the health department. It's from the State Board of Funeral Directors.
Okay. So it's a separate organization.
Yeah, they'll do random inspections. I believe it's twice a year. And just making sure that we're, you know, treating the decedents with dignity and keeping everything clean and sanitary. So.
What's the embalmment process?
What's embalming?
Yeah.
Basically what that is you're draining all the blood in the body and replacing it with embalming chemicals.
Oh, okay.
So it's embalming's mainly to preserve and it's mainly to preserve and you know, stop the decomposition process. You know, it makes it a safer situation for open caskets and 4-hour visitation, stuff like that.
With COVID, was there any issue where even after embalming, I mean, I have no idea. Does the virus only live for like probably a couple hours after the person's dead or something? How's that work out? Do you know?
I don't even think doctors know how that works, but the embalming is more of a precaution just to, I mean, pretty much if someone's embalmed, there's nothing that could survive that. They would infect somebody.
So embalming kind of I guess it's like a fluid flush, right? On a car, you'd pull all the oil and coolant out and then put in a different fluid that kind of stops life, right? Because life has a natural decomposition, natural decay. Like if you weren't doing anything, your body would start to go back to nature, right? So the embalming process, I guess, kind of freezes you. So what you're saying is by replacing with certain chemicals, then it kind of makes the bacterial and viral life not really possible to continue. And I'm trying to say it without sounding too
gross.
Yeah, too morbid or too, you know. I don't want to be disrespectful either. You know, it's a touchy subject for us to think about our loved ones. You know, and it's so I'm normally a jokey dude, but I'm trying to keep it under control.
I'll be the jokey dude.
Yeah.
How much time does that buy? And then also, I'm thinking, so the COVID situation, I'm guessing there's a backup in probably services. People are out of work. And so say a body came in April of last year to you. Do you have to preserve it until June or July before they could have their ceremony?
The services, yeah.
No, I mean, embalming just needs like an overnight for the chemicals to set. But yeah, I mean, for an example, you know, if someone passed yesterday, we can, if everything's in order, we can embalm today and have an open casket tomorrow. You know, that's how quick it is.
Was there situations with COVID where you do you have to hold the body, or does embalming after holding, or is it before the holding? If that makes sense. So like I'm thinking I'm not sure if that question makes sense. So if you get the body and then they somehow think that the funeral will be the ceremony will be 3 months later, if you embalm, will it preserve the body for the 3 months?
I've never seen or heard of anyone embalming and then saying, you know, we want to have a service 3 months from now. They usually want it done immediately. Sometimes the same week, but that's pretty difficult to pull off. Let's say, because you're speaking in reference to COVID, so I mean, even if they're not bombed, we'll just, you know, they're in a bag in our climate control facility, or, you know,
Yeah, I think refrigeration is part of that.
Probably a freeze, like is it a freezer basically?
Refrigeration, yeah, cool
Okay.
storage. I usually tell families when I meet with them, I don't like using that word refrigeration.
Okay.
Gotcha.
But some families are different. They'll say, you know, is my dad in the cooler? You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you just kind of have to fill out the families, and you know, you can usually see what you can and can't say with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it was easy to partition. You know, hey, you know, my dad died. You know, I was okay with that, and I accepted it. So after he's dead, then it's, you know, how do we handle the things we need to do? Yeah, sure, it was still sad and difficult and all that, but I wasn't like super sensitive or worrying too much about, you know, oh my God, what's happening to his body? You know, so, yeah, you know, what's the best we can do?
Yeah.
So they were saying out here, because he was a veteran, and the nearest veteran burial site in Vegas is out in Boulder City. Not that that's far, but they were saying they were backed up for a couple months. They were like, we can't bury, you know, we're fully booked, because I think COVID had backlogged them and pushed them back. So like you got to figure out some way if you want to. We ended up cremating, so we have unlimited time to get him interred is the word. But so it was interesting that if you did want to bury, then how do you hold for 2 months on that backlog?
I wouldn't think that anyone would wait that long. That's a pretty like a one-time situation if it did happen. But you know, if for some reason we did have to wait, they were embalmed.
Yeah.
You know, there is no time limit. You know, we don't evict anyone, so to speak.
We take care of everybody.
Yeah.
What are some of the other processes that that you do? So like the embalming, dealing with the customers, the paperwork. What other behind the scene things do you do?
What else does a funeral director do?
Yeah, I was previously I was a crematory operator out there in Menifee, and what I do now, aside from arranging funerals, you know, I'll also do transportation from the place of death. We prepare people for the cremation. You know, we make sure they don't have any jewelry or pacemakers or defibrillators, because, you know, as you know, those could explode in the crematory.
If you had a close one to you pass away, I'm not trying to jinx it or anything. What from your wisdom of dealing with the funeral services and the whole industry, what would you do that, I don't know, that might be what common people wouldn't know to do? Yeah.
What's the smart way to navigate that process? Because we don't get practice, right? It just shows up one day.
Yeah.
And I get that a lot from families too. They say, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I just always tell them, well, that's what I'm here for, to help you through that. So if it happened to me, the difference, you know, because I'm in the business, first thing, pick a funeral home. If you don't have one picked out, you know, usually there's someone on call. Well, not in California. In San Diego, there's a company that has the coroner contract, so they do all the transportation for, you know, the medical examiner's office. Out here, all the funeral homes rotate and they take turns. So mainly it's just choosing the funeral home, just knowing that everything doesn't have to happen today. You know, usually you'll get a phone call the following day. We don't like to call families right away.
Right.
So just knowing, you know, how it goes, how, you know, one of the things I see a lot is, you know, they want to see their loved one. You know, can I just see them? Can you just put them on a table? And, you know, don't I get to identify the body, stuff like that. And, it's not like they show on the movies.
Yeah.
The funeral director doesn't take you in a room and uncover their face with a blanket.
Mm-hmm.
There's a process for that we call minimal preparation. There's things that our embalmer does to make them look restful.
Mm-hmm.
The family, we don't want their last image of their loved one to be, something gruesome or.
So I guess it could kind of range from the way you said it, like as in maybe I had a close one that was in a car accident and then I wasn't there and then they got in the car accident. They died in the car accident. So I might be arriving to meet you or would I go to the hospital first and then?
I think it's different every time, right? Like my dad, he had a heart attack and they ended up taking him to a hospital and then, they declared him dead at the hospital. And so they actually did give us a chance to view the body, but I'm guessing, it was fairly soon after, but it was really good to be able to kind of say goodbye and accept it.
Yeah. And usually hospitals will give you time, if you tell them, can we just hold off on transporting to the mortuary. Usually the hospitals will allow you that time. Sometimes, I've transported, hours after because they were waiting for family to show up so I could see them. I actually did that with my grandfather back in 2001. I was probably about 45 minutes out when my dad told me, and I turned right back around and drove out there, and they waited, until we all got there. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I can understand if you had, say you got a motorcycle accident and your head's kind of, if you got some road rash on your face or something, you wouldn't want to view, your jacked up loved one, right? You don't want to see them.
Yeah. On that one, say a bad, well, I don't know why it's only car accidents I'm thinking about. Say a plane crash.
Well, it's pretty common. I mean, that's one of the major ways we die in the U.S., right?
Okay. So say a car accident happens. In this case, the person is pronounced. Do they pronounce the person? Say the person's dead in the car accident. So do the cops come and pronounce them dead, and then does the body go to you, or does it still go to a hospital?
No, and in that case, deputy coroner would arrive on scene, and they would actually pronounce the time of death, and then they would call us and dispatch for transportation. Depending on the situation, they might say that they need to examine the body, and in that case we'll transport it to the medical examiner's office instead of the funeral home. But sometimes it's just obvious and they'll sign off on it and tell us we could take directly to the funeral home.
So the coroner works for the city, not for the police, right? The coroner is a city official, is that correct? And their job is
there's a county out here that the deputy coroners are actually the sheriffs.
Okay.
But then one of the main cities out here, I take that back. They're all come from the sheriff's office.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where you're at, coroners work under the sheriff.
Yes.
Okay. And then so if they show up to the scene and it's obvious, this guy got in an accident or this guy fell down the stairs and, then you go to the medical examiner. That's like a holding, or no? Am I getting it wrong?
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Any accidental deaths, or if during their investigation on the scene they see medications or lots of alcohol bottles or something, they might want to examine them. Or usually if they're younger, or even if they're older with really no medical issues, they usually investigate that. So
okay, so if there's a question about how this person died or if there's a crime, then you want to look into how and why did this person die, because now it's an investigation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's an interesting distinction.
So is it not common that the first time the family or maybe it is common. The first time the family sees the body is with you. Is that common or not common?
No. Okay. So if someone passes away at their house, it is very common that the family will be present.
Mm.
We usually explain to them what we're doing, how we're going to do it. We don't recommend that they're in the room and they watch, but of course they're more than welcome to.
Oh.
You know, we always tell them it's not recommended. It's not pretty.
Right.
Usually when we get them on the gurney, I'll stop in the living room and ask the family if they would like to say goodbye once more, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the company or is it a policy with state to allow them to watch? Meaning, so are you talking about like when you're doing the embalming or cremation, they're allowed to, is that what you're saying they could watch?
Oh, no, I was referring to the place of death. When we go to pick up and transport, you know, if they pass away at home and the family's there and we arrive with our equipment, you know, that's when we tell them we don't recommend that you watch, but of course they're allowed to.
Oh, you don't want to watch us loading up
Yeah.
your loved one into a body bag and putting them on a gurney.
Kind of a random story, but I watched a short documentary where I believe it was Japan. Japan has a lot of elderly people. For whatever reason, they don't have much connection with family either. I don't know if a cultural thing's going on where elderly people are either the children don't want to support financially the their grandpa, grandma, or there could be maybe a separation in mental, like whether the grandparent is losing their mind. So whatever's happening, I don't know the details, but there's a lot of elderly people dying and having no family, no connections, nothing in Japan, supposedly. That I watched this short documentary. It was like 20 minutes on Vice News, I believe it was. So they did a growing service over there, if I remember correctly, is the transportation, the cleaning up of the home. So this old, or usually an older person, will die alone, and this service may not be notified for a week, sometimes a month, sometimes 2 months, because this elderly person is not connecting with family, or vice versa. I'm not trying to say who's at fault, but then the service will come and clean up, and it's a little bit gruesome, some of the pictures that they showed. But I mean, this, you can imagine someone's that's been dead for 2 months, what certain gases, liquids out of their bodies and whatnot. I don't know. I'm just telling the story. I don't really have a point to it.
I think there's a demographic thing in Japan where the whole country is getting older and the younger generations are not reproducing. So you could be an older person in Japan and not have a lot of kids or grandkids around. And then if you're an older, if you hit 80, 90 years old, you could easily get to a place where everybody you know has kind of died before you. So, I mean, you could...
Oh, yeah. No, okay. That makes a lot of sense. So you're saying the grandparent could have potentially even outlived the kid. If the kid had no grandkids, then definitely nobody.
I mean, because that's exactly Japan's problem, is they're not reproducing.
Yeah.
And their whole population's getting older. They're like, when you study the world and economics, they're number one in old population that is not having babies.
Yeah.
Because they're all workaholic and a little bit off the rails.
Yeah. I don't know if you would be interested in watching that, Dave, if I could find that short documentary. I think it was only 15 minutes, but a little bit of that story reminds me of something that you said before. I forget how long ago you told me this. Dealing with the dead, you gotta like emotionally deal with it. The family is dealing with someone that's dead, and you gotta elegantly display it all, handle it all, words, what you say to them. And the caring doesn't end when someone dies. I think that's the words you said. The caring doesn't end when someone dies. The caring still goes on, because you got to deal with the body and let the family have closure. So when I saw that Vice News documentary on that, the person doing that services, they seemed like very genuine. Like I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe it's an industry you don't get into unless you really care about people. I'm not sure.
Well, I would hope so anyway. I mean, I know I do, but I can't speak for others. But I don't think if anyone is not, compassionate about doing this business, they should not be in it.
Yeah.
Because that'll shine through and reflect on your service to these families. And, it's like, one of the older guys, he's retired now in San Diego, but, when I first started out, he told me, everything has to be perfect at funerals. He said it's kind of like a wedding. If something goes wrong, no matter how small, they're going to remember it forever.
Oh.
So, if my shoes aren't shined, if my nails are too long, he told me always keep a nail clipper in my suit coat. Just the small details, everything has to be perfect. And we only have one chance to get it right. There is no etch a sketch, shake and do it again,
Wow. Is it?
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Pressure and stress.
Yeah. More pressure than stress. You can't let the job get to you in a stressful way. Even though it's hard to, and, I know me and my coworkers do quite a bit of stressing, but, we do what we can to lighten the mood, and we have each other's back. And, I work for a really good company, good team. So, as long as you have that, I mean, the job would be 20 times worse and less bearable if you worked with a tyrant or someone that was just always on you.
Right.
Is there any suggestions you would have kind of jumping back to what tips you would have for someone going through this whole process? So is there a way to know that a funeral home is a decent one? Is there a way for them? I don't know what the whole process. What suggestions do you have for someone going through?
How does someone pick a funeral home?
All of it. How to know to pay, what to buy, and
yeah.
Okay. So one major thing that not everyone knows or thinks about is if you're just gonna do a direct cremation with no services or viewing. Nowadays we have what we call cremation societies. So they will do the cremation, like the company I work for, we have full service funeral homes and we have cremation society, which with no services or anything, just get the cremation and, it's like half the cost of what a full service funeral home would charge. See, and I think the general public, that's a very important thing to know, is the difference, because, lots of families will just go to a funeral home thinking they're all the same price and, pay double for for a direct cremation with no services or viewing when they could do that at a cremation society. So that's the main thing, just knowing what you want. If it's just direct burial or direct cremation, you don't have to go with a full service funeral home.
So I think for a lot of people, you hear some horror stories about we went to bury our loved one, and obviously it's not something you plan. Well, I mean, maybe we all should, right? Maybe we should all do a little more planning for it, but most people don't. So you end up at this day where, oh shit, now we got to do all this, and it is super emotional and super stressful. And I think what people are worried about is, I got ripped off. Now I'm, there's, how much am I spending? How much are we spending? We're pulling together all our money to bury, whoever. So let me ask the question this way: What's a fair cost to burying a loved one? What would be a ballpark? Is $20,000 sounds like a lot, right?
Yeah.
That sounds crazy. So I mean, but there are costs to transporting a body, refrigerating a body, embalming, cremation, burial. All these services, all these things that we want and need, they do have a cost. So what ballpark is reasonable for somebody to plan for?
Let's say for a service, visitation, and a burial, the average is anywhere from $8,000 and up, just depending on the casket. I've seen caskets for less than $2,000, and I've also seen people spend over $10,000 on a casket. So, you know, with a decent, you know, lower price casket, it's you know, right around $8,000 or $9,000, but that's not including the cemetery plot.
What do cemetery plots run for? Or is it like real estate where you got good locations and bad locations?
Yeah, if you go to a really big cemetery with, you know, nice location, nice plot, I think out here they're right around 10,000, something like that. That's not in my area, but I've been asking around for myself because I was looking into prepaying for a double plot for my wife and I. But the way that works too, you know, they charge so much interest on it. It's a lot easier and cheaper just to save up the money and pay it all at once.
Okay.
Because when you purchase cemetery property, it's ran through what they call a trust. So they give you 12 to 28 months to pay it off. 1 to 2 years to pay it off, and but they charge 25% interest.
Woo!
Yeah, so you know, if you're just getting a plot for $5,000, you know, save up, and then just pay it all at once. Otherwise, that's a lot of interest.
Yeah, that's huge. 25% is 1/4. So if you have $5,000 after 1 year, even at simple interest, 1/4 of that, you're paying over $1,000 in interest on 5. So after 1 year, you'd be over $6,000, and after 2 years, you'd be over, well, depending on how much you pay down. So you'd probably be knocking on $7,000 after those interest charges. That's crazy.
Yep.
So then that ballpark, was it 8,000? Was that, and then not including the casket?
No, including like a lower price casket,
okay.
8,000 to 9,000, and then you have the cemetery plot that's an extra expense. Yeah.
So around 18 to 20,000 is probably a fair ballpark.
8 plus 10.
Yeah. And then that's for one person. So then
was 10 for the double plot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So for a single plot, again, depending, like, I've seen them as low as, you know, $3,000 for a single plot. So it does, you know, get cheaper if you go that route, or a lot of people are cremating and burying at the cemetery, or they'll put them in a niche in our mausoleum wall. So it just depends. For me, I finally came to the conclusion I want to be buried with my wife. I went back and forth. I've always wanted to set up my pre-arrangements and prepay, but I'm still kind of deciding if I want to do a rock star funeral or a simple.
You look like you got some time. Got some time to plan.
That means you could have a rock star funeral. Got time to save up money for that rock star funeral.
Well, so did you see the Coming to America 2, the second Coming to America movie that just came out?
That came out already?
I think around December or something. So Christmas. Yeah. So we watched it because my parents loved that movie. The funny thing is the king, he had the feeling he was going to die soon. So he's like, I'm going to have my funeral. So he had a big old party, but he was still alive. So he got to watch his own. I mean, to me, that was kind of the funniest part of one of the funnier parts of the movie was the king just sitting there. He was standing in a casket, watching his funeral celebration and just having a grand old time.
It was like a massive party, like a massive ballroom, like 400 people, 500 people party.
Yeah. So and that, somehow conveniently in the movie he died right at the end of the funeral or something, but they don't really explain it. But it was funny to see a guy watching his own.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, that's funny.
So for me as a software engineer, I'll connect it to the funeral services in a bit.
It's always computers with you.
Like if people ask me kind of like what do I suggest, I usually suggest like a password manager I suggest invest in a cryptocurrency if they can. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. But so
we do not give burial financial advice.
Yeah. So from any industry, like you're an expert in my eyes in your industry. So it's interesting to hear you talk about if you thought about doing a simple funeral for yourself or a rock star funeral, and then you thought about doing the dual plot for you and your wife. What other factors have you considered so that I guess for someone on the outside, an audience member, kind of seeing what a person in the industry would do?
Yeah, everyone's different. It's all how they choose. Like when I was kind of in a debate with myself about what I want to do, at first I thought cremation, why not? The plots are cheaper, but then, walking around the cemetery at work, I'm thinking, do I really want my remains to be surrounded by all these people I don't know? A regular burial plot, it's more, you have your own space more than you do a cremation niche.
Oh, so it's like buying a big house instead of a little condo.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Being cremated and put into a mausoleum wall surrounded by a bunch of strangers, and it's like an apartment building in New York compared to a nice
what if it's like a dorm party? Hey Bill, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you. I apologize.
No, that's that kind of reminds me of this arrangement I did. I helped this family, and the wife, she was asking if we do the cremations individually. And I reassured her that we did, and how our process is, very clean and secure. There's no, and she's like, well, if she was a pretty girl, my husband wouldn't mind being mixed with her.
Did she say that jokingly, or was she angry?
No, she said it jokingly. It
okay.
During the funeral arrangement, actually, yeah.
Yeah. That seems like a healthy attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. You hear a lot of the same cheesy jokes. They're dying. I bet they're dying to get in there, aren't they? Stuff like that. Cheesy dad jokes.
Do people buy you a lot of like Undertaker T-shirts and action figures and stuff from wrestling?
That'd be cool if they did. But
no, people. Is the Undertaker your favorite wrestler?
Absolutely.
It's representing the industry.
Yep. Gravedigger's always been my favorite monster truck.
That's fantastic.
Yep. I preferred Skeletor over He-Man.
Yeah, I've got a burning question, but did I derail David from your?
No, go for it.
So if budget is no object, right? If money's no object. If I'm super rich, what would a rock star funeral be? What would be an over the top awesome funeral? If I got
tell us your dream funeral percussion.
Yeah, or have you seen some crazy shit? Or what would be the ultimate superstar funeral?
The ultimate, probably start with the Promethean casket. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It comes in different color interiors. It's an awesome casket. It's what James Brown was buried in.
Wow. Oh, can we put a link in the description?
Yeah, maybe send me a picture and then so describe it a little bit. Is it velvet inside or something?
Oh, it's like gold plated, and you can get I believe it's crushed velvet interior. It's a dark blue, green, or red.
Yeah.
I'd get the red interior.
So a super badass casket.
What
do those Prometheans run?
I believe they're 20,000 or 25,000 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So about the cost of a Corolla, is it?
Yeah.
Is it a ride into heaven?
And is it like a high quality wood on the outside?
No, it's I believe it's 18 gauge. And no, it's gold plated. That's all I know. And it's a really solid. I'm not sure. I think it's a bronze, but it's gold plated. I'd have to double check.
Damn, that's got to be heavy.
Oh yeah, they're pretty heavy. I saw one in person and I was like, wow, I have to have one.
That's the top of the line casket. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What else would you do or what could someone do for a rock star funeral?
I know I would like to have live bands playing, so it'd probably be outdoors. Mm-hmm. Everyone having a good time, maybe some alcoholic beverages involved.
Open bar?
Yep, open bar at my funeral.
Nice. Wait, awesome. So could you do that? Could you do that at the burial site, or would you have to have kind of like a reception somewhere else?
A reception somewhere else. I have seen it to where, at the gravesite, during the gravesite service, they'll do a toast, one last toast, their favorite liquor. And, I don't see anything wrong with that. But, to stay in parties, see the gravesite service isn't really like an all-out 2 or 3 hour event. The gravesite service is usually about 15, 20 minutes, half hour at the most. Yeah. Everyone says their goodbyes, witness the lowering, and drop some flowers or notes or something.
Yeah. You don't want to party too hard and bother the neighbors.
Yeah. Especially around an open grave.
Yeah. Okay.
So every time I've been to a funeral, like afterwards, usually my thought is, what would I want for my funeral? I'm guessing that's probably a common thought for everyone. For me, I think about when I go to the funeral, say when I go to one, I think about the family planning it, and I see how much planning has gone into, and sometimes I feel some type of, I don't know, is it sympathy for, I know that they just lost someone, but then to have to organize and pay and the stress related to having the funeral. So then I try to think, okay, I guess for me, I wish my funeral would be super easy. I don't want to stress anybody out. I'm already dead. Me as a, I guess, atheist, like I don't have a religious reason for my body to have anything done. So you could cremate me. I don't care. I think, anyways, I'm going to go on a tangent from that even more. I mean, I think it'd be great to just go put me in a field somewhere, just dig a hole and let biology do its thing with the dirt, maybe plant one tree. That'd be awesome. But I think first and foremost, I wouldn't want to stress the people dealing with it. So anyways, when I say that to you, is there anything that comes to mind from your perspective being in this industry for so long? Like, is there a way to accomplish that the best way possible?
No, you can't just be burying in random places, man.
Well, no, you disregard that for now. I'll ask that later.
So the easiest way to avoid any stress on any family members is to prearrange it.
Oh, yeah, pay it. Yep.
Prearrange it, prepay it. That way, when something does happen, everything's taken care of. I mean, you could almost see the weight lifted off their shoulders in their expression when you tell them, the only thing you have to pay for is sales tax and a death certificate, and they're just besides themselves,
Oh, weird. So you can't pay that. You could prepay, but then the sales tax comes after.
Yeah, you can put money into what we call a non-guaranteed cash advance. So because like a death certificate's a cash advance, the state charges, let's say $25. So if I were to prearrange mine right now, I could say, okay, I want to prepay for 4 death certificates. It's $100, but then 5 years from now, they could go up to 30.
Yeah.
So in that case, the $100 I prepaid would go toward the current cost, but the family would be responsible for the difference.
Gotcha. Death certificates and sales tax may go up.
Yeah.
The longer you live.
Yeah. Now going to that weird question, if I wanted to be buried in a field somewhere, what's the I'm sure it's illegal, I guess, but how could I get that done?
How do we get around the
law? What's the loophole?
Yeah.
Well, every state has different rules. Actually, even the rules vary from cemetery to cemetery. Some cemeteries out here require a burial vault. Some don't. So, as far as your situation, I do know there are some cemeteries that are starting to work towards like a natural burial, to where they are buried and a tree does grow where they were buried. Something like that.
That sounds pretty cool.
So a lot of cemeteries are looking into more green options, I guess you could call them. So it's not impossible, but it is if you do it on your own or you bury someone in your backyard.
So I can't bury Liem in the backyard.
No.
I mean,
you have my permission, but the government won't let you.
Then I gotta be out there in the middle of the night so the neighbors don't see.
Just make sure to plant a tree afterwards.
Well, that's great until the dog comes around and wants to pee on you. Now I gotta come up with anti-dog.
Actually, I think that might be maybe David might know about this. So in that scenario, what's your wisdom, your expertise? If people started doing this, if it became some sort of trend to illegally bury your loved ones in the forest,
trying to start an internet trend?
No, I'm asking for the wisdom of. So do you know that does the body decompose in a certain way that wouldn't work out on a mass scale? Is doing it.
Is there a good reason we can't just be burying people any old place?
I think I could see some of the counter arguments, like, well, if we allowed it, if the government allowed people just to bury willy nilly everywhere, then you might have a kid that digs down, 10 inches under the ground, and someone didn't do it right, and then the kid finds a body. But yeah, kind of, I don't know, from your wisdom, give all the perspectives you could think about on that.
All the reasons not to bury yourself.
Yeah, I think you pretty much nailed it. That would be my only logical thinking of why we can't do that. The cemeteries are very organized. Everyone has their own spot. Everything's documented, so there is no mistake. No one's going to accidentally dig someone up. But yeah, other than just being disturbed or having someone find you in the future, that would be my only guess. But then again, maybe it's just the state's way of regulating things, just because,
No, you don't want a gang of coyotes coming and digging you up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's Mother Nature. I wouldn't, whatever.
You'd be okay with that?
Yeah. What's your wisdom or intuition?
Wait, I saw a movie where they put a housing development over the Indian burial ground, and then it caused all kinds of ghost problems.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that too.
Yeah, maybe that's a consideration. You don't want something to get built over your tree.
I'm not a mean person. I'm not a spooky person. I wouldn't haunt anybody. I know that's just me though.
You're out there blessing houses.
Well, I do know my thought for being buried has always been, how lots of religions talk about a resurrection and all that stuff. And if a zombie thing's going to happen someday, I would like my body to be whole,
Okay.
So it's not that I want to be buried for any religious reason. I'm not a religious guy, but
yeah.
Just the thought that I could be a zombie someday sounds pretty cool.
Oh, zombie planning. Okay.
I don't want to be cremated and then add water and try to remold,
That's funny.
It's more complicated once you've been cremated.
Yeah.
Come back zombie wise. Yeah. Okay.
What would be your kind of thoughts on if the government were to allow people to be buried anywhere, or maybe
you're really digging at this?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you
same old jokes.
Being in this industry, do you think that if I gave you a magic wand, you would change certain things somehow? I I don't know. Does that bring up any thoughts?
Yeah. Obviously there's a lot of things I would change. The markup on prices, I wouldn't make, I would like to see those lower, but it's a business just like everything else. And, a business has to survive some way. So somewhere in there, the markup's justified, but, I would like to change a lot of things, when the family does come in and they ask to see them, can I just see my wife while I'm here? I just want to touch her shoulder or something. If I own the place or if it was allowed, I would do it. I would let them do it every time, It's just different companies have different procedures and rules. And, obviously, like I mentioned before, without minimal preparation, your loved one's eyes could be wide open or their mouth could be open. And we don't want to just lead them back there and say, hey, here he is. And that's their last image imprinted in their mind forever. So I do get that. But, I would like families that have more
say.
More say, more options as opposed to, sorry, we can't. We don't allow that. I would like them to have more options to say, hey, that's my mom or my dad or whoever. And yes, you're right. Go ahead. We're here. I would like to see it more as a, we're here. We're here for you. We're here to help you, as opposed to telling them, no, we can't, not to say that we don't do that. We're very good with families and we accommodate the best we can. It's just some of the simple things that could be accommodated, it's just not allowed anymore.
I was going to dig one more time with I like the idea of being buried and having a tree grow. Does that sound stupid to you?
No, it doesn't sound stupid at all. Actually, a lot of people, there's an option where you can have someone cremated and you can actually, it comes with the fertilizer and all that. You could plant a tree and you could choose the type of tree you want to plant in your front yard, backyard. So that could be an alternative, but you're not being buried. It's cremated remains.
Oh, that's actually so just let's just play this scenario out. So you're telling me I could prepay for my cremation with that option with the tree, and then I could tell either Emmett or my wife and say, hey, when my time's up, this is the option I chose. Just plant me anywhere, or is there rules?
You can't just be planting trees wherever you want.
Yeah,
you gotta have a legal place to plant a tree.
Is that true? I mean, what if you got? Well, I guess if you got to the woods into the forest.
Oh yeah. No, like I can't go plant a tree at the park.
Yeah. No. That would no.
Especially if you're on a weird like an apricot tree or something. Wait, what kind of tree do you want?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it before.
You gotta pick your tree, man. You want a palm tree?
I would like
the pine trees only grow up at like
orchards. I would want flowers, orchids.
Orchids.
Yeah.
That's not even a tree.
Well, do they have they have flowers that you can buy to grow over these? You're
gonna end up in a pot in our living room.
That's why. Okay, so is that actually kind of
that could go in the backyard? Limb the orchid pot.
I chose orchid because I believe it means testicle in Latin. Is that right?
No, it's like a bird of paradise.
Oh, fuck me! I thought it was testicle.
You want to be a testicle plant
no,
for eternity before you turn into a zombie?
I thought it'd be funny.
It's just serious stuff, Liem. We're going to be crying on your grave. Trying to keep the dogs from peeing on you.
Yeah, that was actually one of the options I was kind of going back and forth with. I was going to pick the bonsai tree. I always thought those are cool.
Yeah.
And then what would you, would you give it, I don't know, would it be your brother or next of kin to handle the bonsai, or does the bonsai go at a designated spot that's already chosen by a company or something?
No, it goes to the family, and then they could do what they want with it. Like I said, some people go in the front yard. I mean, some of the trees that are options, they're really big trees. You plant them, and over the years, anything from a small bonsai tree to whatever big tree there is. I don't
like a juniper.
I actually really like this option. I don't think I've ever heard of this option.
So are you saying, as far as you know, is once you are cremated and the remains are given to the family, nobody can stop you from fertilizing as you please?
Exactly.
Well, how about from a legal? Do you know if there's a legal? Like I'm guessing, I don't know if your question's a physical. Like, yeah, no cop's gonna know you have some powder in your hands that's cremation ashes.
Yeah, limbs, body parts.
Yeah, my body parts in your hands. A cop probably wouldn't know. Now, is there a legal site that you know of, David? Like, if Emmett had my cremations, I gave him the okay beforehand to.
Could I plant him in a tree in the backyard?
Yeah.
Or could I fertilize the tree in the backyard with Liem?
Is there anything illegal with that you know of?
I mean, to me, it sounds like the same as purchasing, the urn that the funeral home is willing to provide. I mean, no one's going to police that. You could pretty much do whatever you want. I mean, some people I've seen where they put the cremated remains in tattoo ink and they get a tattoo with the ashes.
Oh, damn. Oh, wow.
Serious.
Interesting stuff. From your time dealing with a bunch of families, what have you found as like a common thing that they did that helped them emotionally? Like deal with the ceremony, deal with the event.
I mean, that's the whole purpose of the funeral, is to deal with those emotions. Right?
Well, there's probably stuff going on in their head. That's what I'm.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if David's seen some of that.
Yeah, and every family's different. What I do see that helps, if it gets too emotional, I usually, offer them some water, obviously Kleenex, and, if they want to get some fresh air and step outside for a minute, that usually helps. They get to regroup and, it just takes them out of that sad moment that, maybe they don't want to be in.
So time heals most things.
Yeah. I see a lot of families, they joke around as like a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Also, heard some pretty good ones.
Are you trying to hold yourself back from laughing when you hear those good ones?
See, and it catches me every time because I don't know if I should laugh and remain professional, or if I don't laugh, am I going to be disrespectful? Lately with wearing a mask while meeting with families, I could laugh all I want and they can't see that I'm smiling.
One positive side of Corona.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, like we had I took care of this one family, and the guy was a musician, and they wanted a fingerprint pendant, but they insisted on his left middle finger because their dad used to flip people off all the time.
Yeah.
And they wanted us, before we put him in the crematory, they wanted me and my coworkers to sing AC/DC Highway to Hell as we're putting them in.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so different families have different requests. There really is no limit to what you can do other than, the biohazardous part and the legal part. But as far as, personalizing, memorializing someone, you could pretty much do anything.
Jumping way back to earlier in the conversation, I think I asked, what is the process like? They'll contact you, and then you said for them to pick a funeral home. I think it was a funeral house.
Funeral home. Yeah. How do you pick a good funeral home?
And then what processes are there after that you would suggest? So what else is entailed with that? So they pick a funeral home, and then they got to pick the options for the ceremony, or
not everything is needed up front. Just the main thing that's is the final disposition? Are they going to be cremated or buried?
Mm.
So that's the main thing we need to know, because we have to put that on the death certificate.
Mm.
And if we take too long to get that information, that could put a delay on obtaining the permit and a death certificate. And usually families need death certificates sooner than later, so they can, make all the notifications that they need to.
Mm-hmm.
So like with the death certificate, I guess they could stop any credit card payments, home mortgage payments, any other bills that may be coming in.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of legal junk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody's buried, they can have personal items buried with them?
Yes.
Have you seen any super interesting things that people wanted to be buried with?
Yes, I have. I've seen a gentleman get buried with his favorite gun. He was a gun collector.
It's the best gun.
Yeah.
Was it an old Winchester or like an assault rifle, or what kind of gun was it?
It was a revolver.
Okay.
Like a Colt revolver.
Nice.
Shiny.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's going to the afterlife packing heat.
Yeah. Well, if he comes back as a zombie, I don't want to be near
He's
that
ready
one.
to rock. He's going to be pissed off.
Yeah. You could pretty much bury with anything. There's one of my favorite guitar players, Dimebag Darrell.
Yeah.
He was buried with Eddie Van Halen's Black and Yellow design guitar, his original.
Oh, okay.
So, guitars, guns, bullet shells.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. Photos, you name it. I've seen it. Haven't seen anyone be buried with drugs or anything.
I need a pound of heroin.
The grave robbers would be coming.
The cost of your funeral just went up. What do some of the ladies like to get buried with? Is there any personal items that are more
jewelry?
Yeah.
A lot of women, that have a lot of jewelry, they'll usually put everything on them they can, or
just load it up like a pirate. Nice.
What else? Flowers, and lately I've seen a lot of elderly that pass away that are really into their gardens at home, and they'll this one family made a casket spray out of flowers and plants from her garden.
Wow.
They made an arrangement to put on the casket. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I think Dimebag's different because he was an entertainer, right? I think when you're a famous entertainer, then everything you do is a little bit wilder.
Oh yeah.
If you're a heavy metal rock star.
Yep. And he was buried in a Kiss casket.
Yeah, rocking out.
What item would you carry with you in your casket?
Good question.
Yeah, I gotta think about that.
Good question. I don't know. No clue.
Trying to think. I don't have any items that are that valuable to me. So what I really like is people, right? And relationships and spending time with people.
Yeah.
Photos in, huh?
Photos, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want you to keep the photos and look at it. I want you to burn the photos. I would definitely want everybody to celebrate. I don't want people hanging around being sad. I'm not worried about my funeral too much. I'd much rather everybody have a party and have a good time.
Yep.
And hopefully you say, hey, that was a good guy.
There was
instead of fuck that asshole.
How long ago was it? Like 25 years ago. I won't say the name, but we had an uncle that was taking care of an elderly person, and the funeral we had the ceremony, then we had dinner afterwards, and dinner felt really fun. I don't know what it was. I don't know. Everyone was drinking, there was a part of me at that young of age. I was probably
You're a teenager or something?
13 or something.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, shouldn't this be a sad moment? But then reflecting on that later, I was like, actually, that was really awesome that everyone was able to cope with that situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if that's just like, maybe like you're saying, it's just so many different people, billions of people, and billions of different ways people cope with it. But I actually, when Emmett said he would wish everyone would just have fun, I think that's what I would want too. So I don't know how do you, maybe from your perspective, how does someone push that agenda when they're already dead? Or
well, as a funeral arranger, you know, I had to get out of the habit of saying memorial service and calling it a celebration of life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just things like that. You know, make it less sad and more upbeat and uplifting sounding. You know, offering them options like, hey, you know, maybe put together a CD of like 6 of his favorite songs, you know, and you know, just stuff like that. Not the typical, you know, sad stuff. I have noticed in these days, people are starting to get away from the sad stuff, and they're trying to be more positive. And
so okay, you see kind of a trend that's changing. That's interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
even the word memorial is less depressing than the word funeral, right?
Yep, I think so.
We remember somebody is different than here's the funeral where we're sticking them in the ground.
Yeah. Even I was thinking about when you mentioned if you had I think I forget if you said it was for you or someone else did it, the open bar. I think that would probably a kind of a signature to the person. If you prepay an open bar, you're telling all your friends like, hey, I know I passed. I already thought this out. I want you guys to have a good time and remember me in good light and not be sad about it. So I guess that'd be a...
What if I prepay for strippers?
Yeah. Strippers, cocaine, and open bar. No, I think the cocaine wouldn't be legal.
Wait, not legal. Not yet.
I don't know. Do we want to talk about me and you, as in just our history, just for the heck of it?
Why not? Yeah.
So elementary school, Chet F. Harriet, back in Santee. I don't know. Actually, kind of maybe walk me through actually from that to how you became working in the funeral industry. That'd be kind of the journey of the story of David.
How did you go from 3rd grade to funeral director, funeral arranger?
And I mean, you could even, remember we used to joke around. I mean, you used to joke around back then. I think we wanted to be cops all the way back then. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think I wanted to do like homicide detective or SWAT team or something like that.
Yeah. I'm so glad Liem didn't become a cop.
Yeah. Well, back in those days, how I think this probably came about, even since as far back as I can remember, you know, 5 years old, horror movies were always my favorite. Horror movies, the more gory, the better. It just struck my interest and I was hooked. You know, I mean, if you think about it, death is very intriguing to everybody. I mean, if you see a car accident, what do you see? You know, it's our nature. We have to look. Is there a body? Everyone's curious. But anyway, lots of horror movies. Halloween was my favorite holiday. Always. Yeah. I guess I was just into more of the darker things. I think you remember, Liem, when we started drawing, I drew a lot of skulls and monsters, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wait, so did you literally finish high school and think, I think I want to go work at a cemetery?
No. As I got older, I wanted to go to college to become a medical examiner.
Okay.
But then when I found out you have to go to medical school, and become a doctor.
Oh.
I said, well, my family's not that rich, so
it's a long road. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was homicide detective. But then when I found out I had to be a cop, and then detectives are elected by their peers, said, maybe that's not the way I want to go either. And so then I thought, okay, the funeral home. And the way that happened back in 2006 in San Diego, before online applications were a thing.
Yeah.
I literally drove to every single funeral home, mortuary, cemetery, and filled out an application, handwritten. And I got the interview. Yeah, I got the interview because the regional manager for a corporation, he said I just had to meet the guy that filled out 9 applications for the same company.
Oh, I see.
So,
well, that's interesting because it's not something you fell into. You had a drive to try some other things, and then this is one of your options. So, I mean, that's an interesting draw because most people aren't filling out all these applications to go work at a cemetery or a funeral home, right?
Yeah, and then after the interview, he told someone to give me the tour, which means show him some bodies.
Yeah.
See how I react, and went back up, and she said, "Yep, he's good."
You didn't puke all over the place and freak out?
No, I mean I've done removals. Actually, doing pickup and transportation, we call them removals. That's really my favorite part of the job. You never know what you're going to walk into, and then it's a puzzle in a way. Sometimes you have to maneuver things around. Sometimes the husband will be right there watching your every move, and you have to treat his wife like a piece of glass that might break it,
Wow.
So yeah.
That's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, but it just all came natural to me. I would see the embalmer with embalming someone that's been autopsied, so they're all opened up, and I didn't get grossed out or anything. My stomach's rock hard, and I know how to separate my emotions from the professional side of it. So it's just something I think I'm meant to do, and I do it good. So,
have you ever shown up for a removal and it was a horrible, tragic scene?
Oh yeah, several times. Yeah.
And you weren't freaked out or anything? What was that situation?
Well, there's this one time, my coworker and I picked up someone in Escondido. And, it was at an apartment. The detectives wouldn't even step foot in there because it smelled so bad. And as soon as we walked in, I mean, the lady was still sitting on her futon. It's folded up like a couch, with one leg up, one leg down, and her right arm still on the top of the couch, and she was dead like that.
Oh, she just died on the couch.
Yeah, but still sitting right side up, and her mouth was open. And because she was gone for so long, like her face, I guess, like the decomposition causes it to, kind of liquefy sometimes. And it just looked creepy. As soon as you walk in, she's like, you know, looking at you like that.
Just waiting for you to show up.
Wow.
So, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just, is there other ones where,
that wasn't crazy enough for you?
No, would you deal with ones like if there was either something, I don't know, of a murder or something like, husband and wife fighting or something and one of them died?
Yeah. Homicide or suicide or
Yeah.
I've been on those calls as well. Usually there's a deputy coroner on scene, but there's a lot of blood most of the time, so we have to wear like the hazmat kind of protective
suit. Yeah.
Covering. It even covers your shoes.
Yeah.
Face mask, because you never know what's floating around, something like that. But it can get real messy at times. Yeah.
So you've seen some people that have died of gunshot wounds? Is that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I think that's more common in the U.S. than other places. For our international listeners, we have a lot of guns here in the U.S. So
yeah, I heard something like even the second country, we're like 7 times higher than the second highest country.
Yeah, we're very gun loving.
Yeah,
which gives us a lot of opportunities for accidents and bad decisions and and angry fights to escalate.
How old were you when you said you applied to like all those funeral homes in San Diego? How old were you at that point?
It was 2006. I was like early 20s. I was born in 81, so
okay.
Yeah. Early 20s. I think I just barely turned 21 or something like that. 25.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sounds like it was a calling.
Yeah.
Well, then, so were you and then you mentioned the transportation. So that you did that prior to applying to the funeral homes?
No, that's what I started out doing.
Okay.
They call it a funeral assistant, and basically, we would do the transportation, pickup and transportation. We would assist with services, rush the flowers from the chapel to the cemetery, set them up before the family gets there.
Oh, you're like special forces.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're like the SWAT team of funeral homes.
Yeah. And we would help the embalmer too, dress and casket and whatever they need help with. So it pretty much is basically helping out all around. And then I was offered an interview to become an arranger, which was, a step up, more pay. And I did that for a while, and then I went back to San Diego. I did my embalming apprenticeship and crematory operating.
Yeah. So you're in the biz.
Yep. Except I haven't managed a location yet.
Yeah. Well, so you're obviously drawn. I mean, you had a calling for it, and you seem to do well, and it doesn't bother you as far as the gross human stuff.
No.
But in general, is it hard to find people that want to work in this field, or are there enough people that are drawn to it?
Yeah, I mean, there's enough people that are drawn to it, but there's also a lot of people. My current boss and I, we call them fan kids. The goths that are like,
just think it's cool to work with dead bodies.
It's cool to work with dead bodies. It's bragging rights. They could go back to their friends and tell them where they work and they're cool. But they never last. They don't. Their heart's not in it, and their stomach's not strong enough.
Okay.
But then there are a lot of good people. Usually, let's see, they come from like a counseling background, or they have some kind of management experience and dealing with the general public.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to just throw someone in there, and a lot of it has to come natural.
Yeah.
And especially once your training kicks in and everything just clicks, that's when you really know if you're meant for the job. No matter what's going on in my life, I don't bring my personal life to work. I don't want that to show when I'm helping families. So
yeah. I think what's great about you is you seem to have the compassion and understanding that is so critical for that job of caring, like you said, caring about the families, right? Because that really is probably the most important part is caring about the deceased and caring about the families. And I think as long as those are in the right place, then everything else you do will fall in pretty easily.
Yeah.
As long as you, as long as you got the stomach for it.
Yeah, I don't know if I would. Yeah, that's.
So at the age of, was it 24, 25, when you sent those applications, then you got accepted. Was that the first time you remember seeing a fresh dead body?
No, actually, I'll never forget it. I was going to Lindbergh Elementary in Claremont.
I went to Lindbergh
Oh, no way.
for a little
Nice.
while. I'm older though. I was born in '77.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So this guy, he was a friend of the family, and he was older, in his 20s, and he used to ride his bike and make sure me and my friend would get home safe, because we were 5, 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And one day he wasn't there, so we just kept walking home, and I saw his shoes sticking out of the bush. And I guess he must have died while he was riding his bike, because it looked like he fell off his bike. But anyway, that was the first body I've ever seen, was a family friend of my parents and my aunts and uncles. And I remember my reaction as a kid. I didn't get freaked out. I kind of handled it like a matter-of-fact situation. I just remember getting home and telling my dad, so-and-so's in the bush and he won't get up,
Yeah. Do you think you got hit by a car, or what do you think happened?
It could have been due to,
so long ago, hard to say, huh?
some kind of substances, I would say, were used.
Oh, okay.
That could have contributed, yeah.
Gotcha.
So kind of taking that event, that I think it's great that you worded it in that way to connect it to your current job. In essence, you said you're probably 6 years old, and you told your dad, kind of almost a matter of fact. You didn't freak out. You didn't. I'm not sure what, if I was a little kid at that time, maybe, I don't know if I would start crying. You're a little boy,
it's hard to know what to do.
Yeah. So then at the age of around 24, 25, you're seeing these fresh bodies. Is the majority of your mind kind of from all the horror movies that you watched, and just, is that kind of prepping you, do you think?
I don't know. I think it subconsciously has got to do some prepping, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's just, I've always had this, interest in, what happens after we're gone and stuff like that. And, I don't know. It's hard to explain it. Everything just kind of fell natural, and I've always been this way,
Yeah, I think you said earlier, a good way to put it is that there's always a fascination with death, and it's different for everybody, but there is something that grabs you, right?
What do you think was kind of maybe the biggest jump for you? As in, was it going? Did you go check out the funeral homes before applying? Did you have an idea that this is the industry you wanted to try out? I feel like there's a certain jump at one point where you're probably on the fence of should I go work at Target or Walmart or a funeral home? Maybe was that?
No, at the time I was working at 7-Eleven that my grandparents owned, and pretty much my grandmother, she was kind of in her own way telling me, don't stay here.
Wait, was that Speedy Mart?
No, my grandfather owned Speedy Mart though, and I just talked to him yesterday. He said he remembered you.
Oh, that's awesome! I remember. I think running into the back where the beers were the refrigerator. I remember running in the big refrigerator in the back, and then I think you would invite me to. I think we would try to help your grandpa. But I mean, we were freaking. How old were we? Probably 10 years old.
Yeah, probably 8 or 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
Miss Lampy's.
Yeah, Miss Lampy.
Did you guys get any free junk food out of the deal, or what was the?
Oh hell yeah!
I actually don't remember.
Yeah,
Skittles and shit.
chocolate donuts and crystal clear Pepsi every morning.
That's awesome. Man, I can't believe I don't remember what snacks. That you would think I would remember that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. So you're
distracted by the beer.
Sorry for the tangent. So
Oh, you're good.
You were mentioning your grandma.
She's saying there's no future in working at a 7-Eleven, right?
Oh.
Yeah. So, pretty much like no raises. And I thought she was just being cheap at first, but then I realized like that's her way. She pretty much said I'm better than what I'm doing and I need to go and find it. So after doing the elimination process, medical examiner.
Yeah.
Oh.
I said, okay, let me go try this. And pretty much just Googled funeral homes in San Diego and printed it out, because we didn't have smartphones. I just made my rounds,
Okay, so
that's probably MapQuest.
I guess in my mind that story makes more I don't know, it makes more sense, as in, so you wanted originally you wanted to be a medical examiner, and then the next one was it coroner, or what was the next one after medical examiner? Homicide detective. And then because of the one was to be a doctor, the other one's to be chosen by your peers as a detective. So then you went to the next one. Okay, so that makes a lot more sense. Now then, I'm kind of also thinking then, from your experience, if someone was interested in this industry, what advice, or maybe what things should they know about themselves before? For you, it sounded like you had a fascination with death, I guess, to some degree.
Yeah, and the whole process, the investigative process first, and second, being with the funeral home, the taking care of the dead,
Yeah, so you can't be grossed out and be puking everywhere. You can't be losing your lunch.
I would say the biggest thing, though, would be the type of person that's looking to get into this. They have to be okay with putting the families before themselves. You have to know. Yeah, if you have to know when to calm down and to be appropriate and to put these families before your own emotions, like you might feel like one of the families you're helping is disrespecting you, and you want to say something about it, but you refrain from doing so, so you can help them, and then you vent to your coworker after they leave,
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Okay, so great. That's got to be exceptional customer service skills in a very specific environment.
Yeah, specific in death, and like an emotional, some deep emotional empathy that someone has to, sympathy and or empathy that someone has to carry with them in that job.
Yeah. Did you say a associates in business management would help?
Yeah, you could have an associate's in art. They just require that you have an associate's degree, and then you can study the state laws and then take the state exam and become a funeral director. That's what I'm looking to do. I don't have my associates.
Yeah.
I made the mistake by going to the Art Institute of California when it was in Mira Mesa. And I got my certificate diploma in graphic design. And by the time I graduated, every stay-at-home mom has downloaded Adobe software off of LimeWire, and everyone's a graphic designer.
Yeah. It's hard to find a way to make it in that field. Yeah.
Yeah. So it became more of a hobby than a career because, at that time, everyone was doing it.
Yeah. So I drew a lot when I was a kid, and I always got annoyed when people are like, oh, you should be an artist. You should draw. You should, and I'm like, what job is drawing. Like, show me the job where I'm going to get, like, to me, school and college was about getting a paycheck. Like, I'm not here to be a great artist. I need to pay some bills and shit, right? Yeah. So I would get annoyed when people would encourage me too much in art. And similar to your story, I did have an interest in architecture. I'm like, well, that's interesting, right? Designing homes or buildings or whatever. But then as I looked into it a little bit, people started to tell me, there's too many architect degrees and not enough architect jobs. So that's a competitive field. So, so I ended up, like you, eliminating that as one of my options early on.
Let's open this up, as in we could talk about whatever. If you want to ask us questions, or I
got one. So, David, you have some Hispanic heritage. Is that accurate?
I do some. I have some Pacific Islander.
Yeah.
And some English. My grandmother was from Liverpool.
Oh, wow. So you love soccer?
It's all right.
Well, my curiosity is about Dia de los Muertos. Are you familiar with that holiday? And
are you closer to your Pacific Islander Filipino side?
The Pacific Islander Guamanian side.
Guamanian.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm more closer to that. More closer. Once you get older, it's like at that point, I'm American.
Yeah. Okay. Now, given our topic, I was curious about some insight in that holiday, because apparently, Mexicans have a different tradition of death and a different view of the afterlife and how you interact with your loved ones after they pass, and how you remember them and how you celebrate them. And so,
actually, I think sorry, were you going to say something?
Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to slightly change topic, so if you want to add to it, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, I actually do like how they celebrate that, the Day of the Dead. They put a picture and they kind of put together like a little shrine of them, foods that they liked, stuff that they liked. And I like how they celebrate their dead that way.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to add right to that. So within the Vietnamese culture, they have, it's called the death. I think you translated the word, I think it's Dam Yo, which I think is death anniversary. So every year on the day, every year, annually, you hold a party for your loved one that passed away. And it's heartwarming. I'm almost getting emotional remembering like my wife's, was it her? Was it her aunt? I actually don't even remember who the family member is, but that's almost actually how beautiful it is, that it's the whole family getting together. You're not mourning in sadness. Everyone's getting together, and it's crazy because they get this karaoke music going. It's like it's sometimes a 16-hour event. Woo. They're like through the night, karaoke, music, beer, food galore. Like 50 people, 100 people, and probably, I don't know if more average might be 15, depending on the size of the family and whatnot. But it's to me, it's heartwarming. So when you kind of hear that, I guess when you're saying the Dia de los Muertos, if you like that, so I just wanted to share that story. Any thoughts when I say all that?
Oh, I like that better. I wish we all could do that.
Yeah.
Have the celebration of the anniversary. If you think about it, we celebrate holidays that are just silly every year.
Wait, what's wrong with Thanksgiving? I don't know what the hell we're celebrating.
Well, and then having something like that every year, just one big party with family, to honor everyone that has passed. Not just one person, to honor everybody,
Yeah.
I think that's an amazing idea.
Yeah. Yeah, for the Vietnamese one, they do for each person that passed. So I think it was the grandpa, if I remember. It was her grandpa that we did that ceremony. But then say the grandma would have a different day. So then we would also, her grandma didn't pass. But if there's another family member, then it would be the day that they passed. So every year you could have like 2 or 5 or 7 events per year.
Oh, sounds like a bunch of alcoholics finding reasons to party.
It kind of is, man.
Although I guess Americans are doing that every football Sunday. So.
Sunday, Monday, sometimes Tuesday, sometimes Thursday,
yeah.
Sometimes Saturdays.
It's a good thing it's not a year-round league.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What hobbies are you into, David? Just randomly, just personally.
I like writing music. I haven't been in a band for a while, but I was in a few bands over the years and had a lot of fun doing that.
Heavy metal bands?
Yeah, metal, rock. Personally, I'd like to get into like a reggae dub rock kind of band.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds awesome. I've been oddly attracted to dubstep jazz. It sounds, yeah.
What?
It's very. It's actually. I don't think it's a genre. It's just certain bands that make, and they don't even do that one band doesn't do dubstep jazz all the time. They just happen to have like 3 songs out of 4 albums.
I want you to send me your best dub jazz song.
Okay. Oh well. Okay. Maybe it's dubstep. Maybe I'm classifying it wrong. Maybe it's dubstep. It's kind of. I think it's jazzy.
Is there a saxophone involved?
Yeah, I think so.
Or
am I mixing it up with the trumpet or saxophone?
Oh, that's dub ska.
I wouldn't say I used to like ska when I was younger, so I wouldn't say it's dubstep ska.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really into baseball. Huge Padres fan.
Nice.
Not really into football much anymore since the Chargers left. You know.
Well, that's weird. So you don't enjoy the sport since the team left?
Yeah, I tried to pick another team.
Yeah.
But it's like, after 30 plus years of being with the same team, it's like being in the dating scene all over again. Like
they're not good enough.
No, it's like cheering for someone that you just met.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you want, you can be a Raiders fan. We got a new Raiders team up here in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad raised me to hate the Raiders and hate the Dodgers.
Nice. Wait, so are we in baseball playoffs? Are the Padres in the playoffs?
No.
Fucking Dodgers are though.
Oh
beat
yeah.
The Giants, yeah. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
How's your grandpa doing with is Speedy Mart? I'm assuming he sold that by now.
Yeah, he sold it a long time ago. Anytime I'm in town, I'll stop by for nostalgic reasons, but yeah, it's been sold a long time ago. My grandfather is 81 now.
Mm-hmm.
And still trucking, still sharp. I talk to him often. Nice. And he lives about a mile and a half away from me with my mom, so it's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mentioned you yesterday, and so you remember Liem? He used to go to Speedy Mart with me. He said, "Oh yeah, how's he doing?"
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So shout out to Grandpa on this podcast here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gramps, hope you're watching it.
If I remember, I think if I remember, me and you would go there and try to help unload, unpackage, and shelf some of the items. So it's just basically like a 7-Eleven. And
how'd you know where to put everything?
I don't remember. It's been so long. Do you happen to remember? Would your mom teach us, or probably your grandpa would teach us, huh?
Yeah. He would put the crates in the area they're supposed to go up. So you pretty much just open the crate and look up, and okay, those go there.
The Funyuns.
Yeah.
But yeah, my grandfather used to pay us $10 to go stock the cooler.
Nice.
You know, when you're 8 or 9 years old, $10 is a
That's like
lot.
$100, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even then, 25 years ago, shit, inflation nowadays, like $10 back then, you could actually get like probably 15 or 20 Snickers. Actually, you could probably get 20 Snickers back then.
Liem gauges his life in Snickers per dollar. That's how he measures inflation.
Yeah.
You know, like what was that arcade we went to?
Nickel City.
Was it Nickel
Wonderland.
City?
Was it Wonderland?
Wonderland.
Wonderland.
Yeah, we'd take our money there. I mean, that was like the best babysitter for any parent.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
$10 to buy you a whole afternoon.
Oh, hell yeah, yep.
Yeah. And when you run out, there's free games in the back.
Yeah, if you're smart, you could probably try to do like $3 for one day. You play a lot of the free games and once in a while throw in a nickel game.
On your favorite game that's worth it.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Mercs.
Back then it was Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that game Mercs?
Yeah.
Three
Mercs,
dudes.
Yep. And you'd have I think we once in a while get the big bomb on that.
Yeah.
You'd bomb the whole screen.
Nuke it. Yeah.
Good old Santee.
All right. I got a weird question for you, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find Elvira sexy?
Absolutely.
In her prime. It doesn't have to be old Elvira, but
that's probably the only woman my wife is jealous of.
All
right, we know what to get you for Christmas.
Only Elvira, huh? Is there any other? What would be other characters that come close to Elvira? Would Wednesday be close?
The Addams Family?
Yeah.
No, Morticia, right?
Is that the mom in the Addams Family?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's what's the other one on the Munsters? I forgot her name.
Was it Wednesday? Or you're talking about the mom?
Yeah, the mom.
I don't know the mom's name. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, so that very pale skin, dark hair, Halloween-y looking. Gotcha. Nice.
Have you asked your wife?
Or is it the big boobs?
Have you asked your wife to dress up like Elvira for Halloween or something?
It could get you in trouble. They could put you in trouble there.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was an off the wall question.
Oh no, that's awesome.
What off the wall topics are there in the funeral business that you enjoy?
Well, they have actually a real interesting thing that's coming out. It's cremation by water. It's off the top of my head, I can't think of what the name is. I'd have to look it up. It's a weird name. I've only said it like 3 times and forgot about it. But
what is it?
It's a new way of cremating to where you don't use gas or fire or electricity, or I think it's electricity, but it's just water based. You're pretty much being cremated in water, and
that's crazy. I'm gonna have to look that up because that doesn't make any sense to me.
Is it probably like acidic water that decomposes? Is that? Or do they shoot it like at high pressures to break it down?
I don't know. It's so interesting though. I looked into it, probably a few months ago, and I've just been so busy I haven't really paid attention to it. But
right,
none of us up here in Northern Nevada none of us have that machine. I think they're only the only places. There's a couple places in Vegas, I think, because that's where they were kind of demonstrating and. At those seminars.
Like a convention?
Yeah, the convention. They always have it in Vegas, and they're always showing off the new. The other cool thing, I saw it's in Vegas also. They're making urns that look like your loved one's head.
Weird.
Yeah, I want to buy one just
to have a head urn.
Yeah, just to see what I would look like.
Do they do a 3D scan? Is that the?
I think it's 3D printer related. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, that'd be creepy because my mom, she keeps the urn of my dad. It's been less than a year, but she keeps the urn like in the living room, like watching TV with her, and she remembers and loves him, but she's taken it to a whole nother level of like almost imaginary friend kind of status, and it'd be really weird if it was the shape of his head. Because it's already.
By any chance, from that story, would you have any suggestions on how to deal with someone if his mom is kind of, I don't know if I want to say holding on. It's almost an imaginary.
I mean, she has no desire to change. To her, that's perfectly great, and that's how she wants to spend her days. Is with my imaginary dad still around. I mean, the weird part is she's a lot nicer to dead dad than live dad. she was always on his case when he was alive, but she's super nice to him now. So
yeah, like honestly, I'd be the same way. I mean, not like an everyday hangout thing, but
yeah,
I would still talk to the urn if I had someone. Might even set them on the table next to me to watch a baseball game, something like that.
Yeah, share the joy.
Yeah, kind of like they're not there, but it kind of makes you feel like they are in a sense.
Yeah.
Well, even now you might think I'm weird for saying this, but even at work when I'm, handling these bodies, like they're people. I talk to them. Just to throw a simple last name like, all right, Mr. Smith, I'm going to get you ready for your funeral now. And, I talk to them. They're still people, but
yeah, that's great. No, I mean, I think about it and it sounds wonderful, right? I mean, instead of thinking of it as just an object, you're thinking, hey, this is still a person.
Mm-hmm.
We're not quite at the finish line yet. We still got a couple more steps.
Yeah, and Mr. Smith would never have a reason to haunt you because you always been nice to him.
Be nice to him. It's your haunting insurance.
But I mean, it could either be. It sounds like I'm making fun of it, but either the haunting insurance that you don't want it to haunt you, but also, I mean, I guess you're putting your best foot out in every way possible. There's no way anything, anyone, any ghost could ever misconstrue you as a non-empathetic, insensitive person. That's what I think.
I think it's great too. It's a verbalization of your values and your
respect.
Yeah.
That's a great way of saying it. It's verbalizing what you're already thinking.
Yeah. That's great that you shared that with us. We didn't expect to. That's the nugget of truth right there.
Yeah. He not only sees dead people every day, he talks to them.
He's getting good advice and everything.
I'm trying to remember the last time I did this. There's been times where something like bad could potentially happen to me. I don't remember the last time, but I remember I'll say, I know I'm atheist, but if there's a God, I'm going to pray that bad thing doesn't happen.
That's cheating.
It kind of puts my mind at ease. Oddly.
No, that means you're not 100% atheist. That means there's like 2% doubt.
No, isn't agnostic? Oh, I'm agnostic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it feels like now I'm gonna get religious. It feels like a 99.9999999% chance that there's no God. But in that one weird possible way, at that moment, if there's a God and it's that bad thing that could potentially happen to me, I'm just saying, hey, if there's a God out there, I really hope this doesn't happen.
Right.
Because I mean, in that moment, or I guess in those moments, I'm just waiting. In that situation, I'm waiting. Something's out of my control. I don't have control of it, so I'm just waiting for that time to happen.
All right.
So I'm verbalizing my thoughts.
Now I really want to know what you were.
I don't remember what those situations were.
Looks like God saved you.
Yeah.
You ever thank this unprobable God?
No, because that 99.99999 chances. I'm just saying. Well, it was the logical thing that.
Okay, well, currently in the 0.00001% chance that there is a God, thank you that my life is not terrible.
Yeah, there you go.
Assuming you had some hand in making me lucky.
Do you find that most...
We're going to hell. That's 100% chance right there.
Sorry, David, were you about to say something?
Yeah, there was something that I thought of, talking about hauntings and all that. There was something that I experienced at the funeral home I was working for in Chula Vista.
Mm.
We were on call at night. I was training a new guy to do removals and transportation.
Yeah.
And it was like the witching hour. Like we were coming back to the mortuary, 3 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And
the spookiest possible time.
Oh yeah. And the other two that were on call, they showed up also. So there was 4 of us there. We were bringing 2 bodies back, and we're all in the garage, and all of us have been working all night, all day, and we were starving. And one of my coworkers remembered that a family left cookies and soda and snacks in the visitation room, and they were done. They were just going to throw it away. So
right,
4 of us went and chowed down on some cookies and soda, and the door from the visitation room to the lobby was it's a double door, so one door is open, the other is closed. So we're sitting there eating cookies, and then all 4 of us saw the same thing. It looked like somebody walked by the door, but we just caught the tail end of them. And I was like, did you guys see that? And the other 3, they saw it. They said, yeah, we saw it too. And one of my coworkers ran back to the van outside.
Yeah.
He didn't want to go back in there.
Yeah.
And then later on, over the years, I've heard podcasts on like shadow figures and stuff like that. And so it was just a spooky, crazy thing that, it'd be different if just one of us saw it.
Yeah.
But all 4 of us saw the same thing, and it was pretty creepy.
Yeah, the ghost was mad you were eating his cookies.
Yeah.
Would you say that's not that story itself, but overall your career, that's good fortune that you've only seen is this the only time you've seen something that scared you or spooked you?
Yeah. Actually seen with my own eyes, yeah. You hear a lot too. Like if it's a 2-story building, like one of the historical mortuaries in San Diego, around the same time of morning, taking a body back with my coworker, and we hear someone running upstairs, just running around, and there's no room to run up there.
Wow.
But we thought it could have been like a homeless guy that broke in or something, and we went up. We searched everywhere and couldn't find anyone up there, but there was somebody running around.
Wow.
Upstairs. Yeah. So,
I mean, you can't have too much of that stuff, because if you were getting scared shitless all the time, you'd have to quit, right?
well, for me, I don't get scared. I'm more excited. Like, is anyone there? Don't be afraid. Show yourself, kind of thing. But
yeah,
it never happens.
I'm looking for ghosts.
Where are you mentally, spiritually? Like, do you believe in ghosts? What's your thoughts on all that?
You've seen 2 at least.
Well, yeah. I feel like, remember, actually, I think I only recently mentioned it. When I was younger, I used to see the kind of exactly that story you're talking about, when the double doors and you saw like a shadow figure. I think I remember when I was younger, those things would happen a lot more. And I actually, oddly, as a kid, I actually just thought, I wonder what's wrong with my eyes. it's almost never really had any effect on me mentally. I just thought it was maybe my eyes I'm growing. Maybe it was a shadow, but I would see it pretty often. Maybe 3 times a year, 4 times a year. And it probably stopped. It feels like, I don't know the age. I'm guessing probably when I was 12 years old, somewhere around that age.
Oh, you mean puberty when you discovered girls?
Maybe, yeah. And I was just looking at girls all the time. So, anyways, so I guess my question, even though I saw that, it never spiritually hit me in a sense that.
Well, they weren't ghosts.
But how could I? Wouldn't it be more common for someone in my shoes to say that I believe in ghosts?
Nah, I mean, not from so long ago. The things you believe when you're 12 are different than the things you believe now, and which ones do you credit more? Right? Do you value your adult opinions and views, or do you value your 12-year-old?
Yeah. Well, okay. So, David, from your career and then working in the industry, what's your thoughts on it? On your personal experience of ghosts and whatnot?
Personally, I definitely believe there's, ghosts or spirits or loved ones that stick around for a while. Cause, there's been a lot of situations where I've felt like a strong presence, like someone was standing right next to me. Or staring at me or something. It just makes, your hair stand up. Like it's hard to explain, but you feel like someone's there and it's not a good presence, or maybe it is a good presence. Someone's there, but you're more calm about it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And it's usually when least expected. Like I'm not even thinking about how dark it is in the funeral home, or I'm alone on a Saturday in the office. Like I don't think any of that. And then stuff like that will happen. I'll get that feeling, or I'll hear a loud bang down the hallway in the funeral home, and no one's there but me,
Right. Dude, if I had to work in a funeral home alone, I'd be with all the lights on. I'd have one of those coal miner lights on my head. I'd be a neon suit and everything.
Running out the door when you turn the light off.
Yeah. No, the light's going to stay on, man. I ain't even turning the lights off. You could bill me.
What are so is there the scary story? So the dark figure you saw go through the double doors, that's the scariest one that you've been through because the 3 other people were involved.
It's the most credible, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other notable ones?
Yeah, actually at home, it's probably about 2012, 11 or 12. I was sleeping. My wife woke up and she saw a figure that was like clear. She could see him clearly, in like Civil War attire. And he was on my side of the bed.
Yeah.
Just staring at me. And my wife kind of froze in shock.
Yeah.
And then she was finally able to wake me up, and she was terrified.
Yeah.
She said there was some guy staring at me, watching me sleep, and looked like a Civil War guy. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Was it a blue uniform or a gray uniform?
That's what I asked her. She couldn't.
He's trying to recruit you. We need good men. We haven't lost yet.
Yeah. Just crazy stuff like that. I've had an older gypsy family member from someone that, the funeral I did for her sister. She knew my name. I never met her. And she said, I'm a medium, but it's not my time yet. I'm like, what does that mean?
Huh.
Crazy stuff.
Huh. A medium. But then the clothes, usually the family chooses the clothes for the deceased. So
Yeah.
So then how would the medium, or I don't know.
No, a medium is somebody that can talk to the dead.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay.
Right? Is that the right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. I thought you like a medium-sized shirt. I was like, wait, what? I didn't get it.
You thought she was guessing my size?
Yeah.
Hey, my tits are popping out of this one. Can you give me a better shirt? This is
Not looking like Elvira yet.
that's ridiculous. Quit thinking about breasts, Liem.
Is what would be a career path? I was gonna ask like a financially.
Are you gonna say it's a dead end job?
No, I was gonna say if someone was interested in doing it for the money, is that usually probably the wrong question to get into funeral services?
I would say if you're in it for the money, yeah, that would probably be a wrong reason morally. But if you were really after the money, it's not the business to get into. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. There's easier ways to make a living.
Well, no matter what company you work for in this industry, it's pretty low paid compared to other industries.
Mm-hmm.
But, if your heart's in it, I mean, there are ways to make money in the industry. Some companies offer a commission and some don't.
Yeah.
The people I work with, we're not salesmen, but I have worked for different companies to where they wanted me to be a salesman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not how I work.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give the family the catalog and the price list, and I'll leave them to it. I'll give them their alone time and come back in 5-10 minutes, and they pick out what they want. I don't even have to influence them at all.
Right. Yeah, so, you're not trying to sell them on that Prometheus casket? You guys wouldn't believe this shit.
Out of curiosity, what have you met the owners of these funeral homes? Like, I don't know. I mean, depending on, you probably don't want to mention their names, but like, what type of people get involved in owning these funeral homes? What are their personalities like? What are their backgrounds like?
Usually they're people that have worked in the industry for years, and then, maybe the owner back then, was talking about selling, and, one of the general managers or something might step up and try to get a loan. And usually the owners are people that have been in the business for a long time.
So that's probably really good in the essence that I'm guessing. I see so much where I worked in software. I see so many people somehow get into upper management and have very little software development experience, and it baffles me that it's kind of, I don't know. I'm not. Maybe they're able to job interview very well, and then just on their resume they went to a prestigious college or something. I'm from your story, I'm hoping in the funeral industry, I'm not sure if that's the correct term, but in that industry, hopefully there's a lot less of upper management that's oblivious to their industry.
Oh yeah. In my experience, I've never worked for someone in upper management that, didn't have previous experience. They've all been through it, started somewhere, and worked their way up.
Would you say that they seem to all carry an empathetic, sympathetic, emotional view?
Yeah, absolutely.
That sounds really nice, actually.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you an example. Like, I won't say names or anything, but, I worked for someone that, personality wise, we really didn't get along.
Mm-hmm.
It was a horrible work relationship, work environment, but when it came to funerals, they knocked it out of the park, and they were good to families. So, But in other words, like, even if they are a bad person towards their employees, they make sure the families get what they need.
Well, yeah, if you're real assholes to grieving families, you probably won't last long. You'll probably get your lights punched out too many times.
Yep.
Well, oddly,
people start attacking you, right?
Oddly, I want to think like I mean, corporate, big pharma, like it's so different though.
You're trying to make a conspiracy out of funeral homes?
No. I'm trying to think. My train of thought is, if it's a for-profit business, there seems to be always a way to make money as an asshole or something, like to be some CEO of some corporation. I don't know. I guess that's my train of thought. Maybe with a funeral home, you could have someone that just likes money, doesn't care about others, and still make money. I don't know.
I can tell you guys this, in Vegas, there's a chain of funeral homes called, I think it's Palm Mortuaries and Palm Funeral Homes. But there is a billboard on the freeway, and it said, "Drive safe, we'd rather wait." So it's
nice.
Such an interesting advertisement too.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's got to be a hard thing to advertise for, because it's not something people are voluntarily buying, right? It's just a time that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, drive safe. We'd rather wait. But you're coming here in the end.
But it's like when people ask me, has it been busy? And usually when you ask someone if it's been busy at work, they say good, but for me, it's like, it's been slow. I'll tell them, and they say, "Oh, well, hopefully it picks up." No, I'm
I want everybody to live forever.
Yeah, I prefer no one die, but I'm here when they do.
Yeah. Unavoidable so far.
Do you think about your death? What's
Yeah, he's got a plan.
Okay, how about do you think that there's an afterlife? Do you think it just goes black? What's your thoughts?
Honestly, if there is an afterlife, I hope it's cool, but I'd rather just be stuck here and, be in the background and still watch my family. I'd rather be stuck here on Earth watching over them, but, whatever there is, I hope it's cool. I mean, the way I feel about it is like, and as long as I'm a good person and I'm good to people, then whatever comes after, it can't be that bad, right?
Yeah. What else can you do?
Yeah.
I think someone had a quote. I'm probably going to butcher it. They said, "Every human's actions is due to their knowledge of their death." Something like that. So meaning that when I go to work and make money, I'm trying to make money for now, but I know I'm going to die. So I'm trying to live with the okay that I need to make a life for myself now. So my knowledge of that I'm going to die, I got to do something now. I
don't think so, man. When I go buy an Arby's sandwich, I just want an Arby's sandwich.
I'm serious. When I read that quote, I was kind of like, I don't think I agree with this person, but yeah. I want to turn it on, I guess, David, because he's in the industry of death. When you hear that, do you have a day? Have you had days where you think about your death and what you do today
matters?
Yeah.
They're quite often. I mean, when you think about it nonchalantly, it's like, you see death all the time on TV, whatever. But when you really seriously think about it, it's like, oh wait, once I die, like there is no thoughts, there's no more Dave, like I can't listen to music anymore. It's like, it hits you when you go that deep into thought. But when I do go, I hope I die in my sleep and I'm having an awesome dream.
There's no Civil War dudes around.
What's that?
Hopefully there's no Civil War dudes around.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Hey, what's a funeral convention like? You said there were some Las Vegas funeral industry conventions.
You know, I've never had the opportunity to go.
Yeah.
I heard they're cool. That's where they show you the latest and new stuff that's going on in the profession. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they have fun, you know, hanging out and stuff too. I mean, it's funeral homes from all over the nation that go there. So
Yeah. Just does the Gravedigger monster truck show up?
Or Undertaker? All right, I'm going to walk us into the final question section.
Okay.
First question, what great daily habits do you have?
What great daily habits?
Yeah, habit or habits.
I take really good care of my immune system. I drink emergency every day, vitamin D3. I think that's one of my better habits. You know, the
Nice.
older I get, the better care I take of myself.
Cool. I want the emergency, is that, I forget which one was it. Is it vitamin B is the only one that you don't want to overdo? Is it vitamin B? I think there's only one vitamin where if you take something like 300% every day for 3 years, you jeopardize your bones, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just take those daily ones, those little tiny ones. One a day. I did hear a podcast. I forget which one, but they were really talking up vitamin D3.
Oh, okay.
Well, D3 is great if you're not getting enough sunlight. So if you're...
Which helps, you know, with everyone quarantine and all that stuff. You know.
If you're indoors a lot and not getting a lot of sun, then vitamin D helps. I think those major products like Emergency and any multivitamin you get over the counter, any of the vitamins that you can have too much of, you'll see like you'll get like 1,000% of your recommended vitamin D or whatever. You go through and that has percentages.
Yeah.
But the ones that you can get too much of, they'll be lower, like 30% of your daily.
Yeah. Okay.
So even if you took 3, then you wouldn't be over the max recommended. So there is a lot of industry consideration and oversight on not getting too much.
What vitamin does broccoli have mostly? Because I OD'd on broccoli one time.
You OD'd on broccoli?
You love broccoli that much?
Well, I guess I had a whole plate of steamed broccoli.
I didn't think you were a weird motherfucker till this point. I thought you were totally cool until this point.
But yeah, it just made my body feel weird. I felt weird and like kind of ill a little bit.
Yeah, don't eat broccoli.
Yeah, don't eat that.
I'm Googling to see what vitamins in there.
Wait, so do you just eat smaller portions of broccoli, or are you avoiding broccoli?
I do now, yeah.
Okay. I've never heard of too much broccoli. That's crazy.
This one doesn't say how much. It says calcium, iron, phosphorus, potassium, zinc, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, vitamins A, B6,
It should
B12,
be all good for you, yeah.
D, E, K.
Maybe you had a bad batch.
Yeah, probably.
Was this sketchy broccoli that you got from an unreliable source?
No, it was like some organic stuff at Whole Foods.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
All right, next question. What do you know or think of cryptocurrency?
I know I probably should have invested when it was cheap, and now I can't afford any. But I think it's pretty cool. I've seen coworkers that invested early, and they just like retired at the age of like 35, and I'm like, what?
Wait, so you know some people that crypto retired?
Yep.
Wow. What do they do now? They just ride around Lamborghinis, or?
I no way to get a hold of them.
Dude, I think yesterday someone just told us almost the same thing. Rick on the yesterday, he said his friends are
bye.
Yeah.
You don't need friends when you have money.
With cryptocurrency though, you could buy $5 to $100. You don't have to buy the full coin. So like if Bitcoin is I think is it $60,000 per Bitcoin right now? You could still buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, or even $1 really.
Don't do $1. Do $100.
Yeah, don't do $1. But because all the fees, there's fees to buy from the exchanges and stuff. So buy in bigger chunks if you can. I highly suggest that. I'm a software engineer and I look at cryptocurrency from a coding perspective and how I think it could change the world.
And I do not give a financial advice on the internet.
Yeah, that's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I would not give you, wait, how would I say that? I'm not giving you financial advice, but I suggest that whatever disposable income that you could throw away, if you could afford $100.
One perspective would be,
if you could afford $100 to throw away a month, or maybe 200, if I would think within usually around less than 10 years, that if you could just hold on to just buy every month, hold for 10 years, and then one of those friends that retired, you would become one of them.
Yeah, I would say my perspective on it is, if you got $100 a month to put into it, you can easily buy $100 worth of, Ethereum or any of the, kind of the top reputable cryptocurrencies. And it's not too late in the same way that I think cryptocurrency is behaving like an appreciating asset. And the only other appreciating assets that normal people can buy are real estate and stocks. So do you say, well, shoot, Apple, their stock today is $400 or whatever. It's too late. I should have got it when it was cheap. Well, no, you could still buy it now if you think it's going to keep going up. So as long as you think that market's still going to go up, then it's not too late. We all wish we could go back in time. If you could go back and buy a house in 1983, would you go do it? Fuck yeah, because any house, right? I would buy any house anywhere in the U.S. in 1983, and if I had it now, I'd be rich, right? But we can't go back in time. We can only ever buy today. So I think those three things are something you want to kind of try to accumulate through life.
So are you saying cryptocurrency is a better retirement plan than 401k?
It's riskier because it's very new.
It's riskier, but it does seem currently better because, oh God, you can let me answer, then Emmett will probably say, I'll probably take you on the, I'm more optimistic, and then Emmett's maybe more realistic, maybe.
You're more philosophical for sure.
Yeah. So this technology is revolutionary. Like it is something. Bitcoin was the first. Now I actually think Ethereum will be the number one, but who knows? It might be some other one. It could be Bitcoin, or it could be Ethereum, or it could be some other coin. But
Mark Cuban agrees with you.
This cryptocurrency technology is so revolutionary that we haven't even touched the surface of what it can do. It's going to change everything. I hope it changes everything. So from digital currency to ledgers to how we do accounting at companies, how businesses work, literally decentralized businesses. That's a whole paradigm shift. Like to have a business that doesn't have one owner, and then especially all the parties involved actually are a symbiotic entities. It's an amazing technology that this allows. You don't get that with capitalism. You can't. Capitalism, you have to usually have a center body of someone printing money, and then banks, and then other people benefiting off of it. Cryptocurrency doesn't work like that. Cryptocurrency works better when everybody works together. Actually, most hackers they sort of lose out, because if a hacker hacks, say, Bitcoin, the value of Bitcoin will severely drop. And then you got Ethereum, that's another decentralized coin. All the people that probably sold out of their Bitcoin jumped to Ethereum. As long as that hack wasn't a fundamental thing, but mathematically this stuff is so improbable to hack, so it's not going to happen.
It's basically not possible.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I think your question sort of was as an appreciating asset. I think we've only scratched the surface. This stuff is going to go up in value.
Yeah. You still want to do your 401k as long as you believe the stock market is going to keep doing what it's done for the last 100 years. Right. So, you're probably in your mid 30s or late 30s. So you got a little
40.
while. You're 40. Yeah. So you got some time before you retire though, right? Your earliest retirement, you're still talking 20, 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So as long as you think the stock market in the next 25 years is going to keep doing what it normally does for the last 100, 200 years, then that's a safe investment in that we pretty much know what's going to happen. And if you're investing broadly in something like an S&P 500 fund, then that's a pretty safe capture of most of the stock market gain. If you're just buying Apple or Tesla or something else, then maybe now you're a little more risky because you're getting a better return on Tesla and Apple. But what if Tesla has a catastrophe, right? What if their factory blows up? What if people get all woke and get pissed off at Apple for saying the wrong thing about Asians? You know, what if there's some backlash, right? So those are better bets in that you get a higher return, but they're riskier because one company could have a bad year, right? So cryptocurrency I see as risky. It's not safe the way a 401k would be. It's risky, but a much higher return. So if you can do the safe thing that you were going to do anyway, and then find, you know, even $50 a month, right? If you're putting $50 a month in cryptocurrency, I think that's a pretty smart gamble investment. And just watch it, right? So watch it for a year, right? So I put in $50 a month, see it after a year, and then see if you like what happened, right? So did it go up a ton, or was it wild and didn't really go anywhere, or, you know? So that's an easy one to kind of experiment with yourself, right?
On both stocks and cryptocurrency, in the short term, they can have dives, and even stocks can have big dives too. Dips, the prices can crash. But if you back up and usually look over a time span of 1 year, 2 year, especially 5 years and 10 years, you'll be hard pressed to ever find probably a 5 or 10 year mark that it didn't go up.
Yeah.
So
hang on.
That literally the hold thing is such a huge thing. Buy and hold. Both either stocks and or cryptocurrency. I vote cryptocurrency. Some people, I think some analysts nowadays are saying like do 95% of your investments into stocks and then 5% into crypto. I would suggest do 80% in the crypto, 20% in the stocks. But I'm a little bit more aggressive because I feel like I understand the technology, and the future for it is you actually can't erase cryptocurrency. It's there forever. This decentralized system, it can't ever be shut down. No government can ever shut it down. So that in itself, kind of, if you can't shut something down, it either slowly fades away into non-existence, but I don't see that happening with something that has such an amazing technology underneath it that could change everything. And we see it with Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. YouTube, we're starting to see freaking CNN is, from what I'm hearing, they're starting to, their finances aren't working out. They're gonna have to shut down. They're shutting down certain departments, and they're making a transition to YouTube, but they actually can't compete with platforms potentially like this. Other podcast platforms are taking out CNN.
Wait, we're the new CNN?
That there are some theories that these podcasts are going to be the new news centers. There's going to be a bunch of podcasts nationally.
Well, how do we get our world news? How do we find out what's going on in Sierra Leone?
Because all the podcasts could talk to each other too. They could even interview each other.
Okay, so we need somebody in Sierra Leone to be the Sierra Leone podcast to the U.S.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you ever have any questions, I have no. I don't make any money off of cryptocurrency suggestions. This platform, I hope to always keep fully honest and genuine. I don't have any opinions to make money. So if you ever have any questions about cryptocurrency, I'll be honest, or I'll tell you what I think my honest opinion is. I'll never sell you something because I don't believe in it and I'm just trying to make money.
Yeah, the two things you got to watch out for. There's a lot of hype, right? There's you'll always see these dudes that get excited about crypto, and really they're gambling. You know, they're just excited about gambling and they want you to gamble too. And the other thing that we see a lot of people do is they'll put maybe $1,000 or something into a crypto, and then 7 months later it goes to 2,000, and they go, "Oh wow, look, I freaking doubled my investment. I got to pull it out now, and I got 2,000." And it's like, well, no. If you think it's going to keep going up in the future, why would you ever pull it out? Wait till you got a whole ton of money. But we see people do it all the time. They'll put in 1,000, they'll pull out at something like 2,000, and they're super happy. But then they're out of the crypto market, and you just watch that market keep going. So the same thing with housing, right? So I'm a realtor here in Vegas, and usually if you're in a house over the long run, that house will go up in value. So the people that stay in your house, right? I mean, you got to live somewhere, so might as well stay in your house and own it. But some people think about cashing out the equity on their house, and then what would you do? Like go live in an apartment? And I saw a guy do that once. He goes, "Yeah, I think the market's going to crash, so I'm going to go sell my house and go live in an apartment." And I think I haven't checked back, but that was like 3 years ago. He would have been much better off staying in his house or buying another house. You know, even if you get a different house, at least you're catching that market appreciation as it goes. So the hard thing for people is in crypto to not pull out when there's a big gain, you know, because they're, oh yeah, now I'm going to go buy the awesome guitar or whatever. So it takes a little bit of discipline to win in the long run.
Yeah. Out of maybe the 100 people I know that bought into crypto through me or people that I know, I think only 3 of them have held. 97 of them have sold out, and they all regret it. You know, it sucks.
But it's so weird that they don't ever buy back in. I don't understand the psychology of it.
Yeah.
Because if I bought something and it did great, and then even if I collected it out, then do I forget about cryptocurrency, or do I still know it's there and go, well, shit, what's it been doing?
Yeah. So I think so many humans, it's a human trait to unfortunately say, I'll just whatever price. Say Bitcoin is $5. Someone bought it for $5, and then it goes up to 15. They sold it for 15.
Yeah.
As Bitcoin hits 20, they can't fathom buying Bitcoin at 20 because they sold at 15. It's an unfortunate.
Because I bought it when it was 5. Now it's too late.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. So don't ever believe it's too late. If it's going to go up into the future.
I would say because my reason for that it's not too late. Definitely, we're nowhere near it's too late. Is because, like I said earlier, this could change the whole. It could change governments. It could change all the corporations we know. Yeah. So until cryptocurrency has what's the word I'm looking for? Has taken over
matured.
Everything. Until cryptocurrency has gone into everything, cell phones, laptops, Amazon, Walmart, literally like Walmart, even your dentist, like seriously, your
David's looking at us like, these guys are crypto crazy, trying to talk me into it.
Until it gets to that point, then it hasn't reached that peak. So the price is just going to continue to go up until it gets there.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah,
next.
I'll be messaging you.
Yeah, feel free to shoot me any questions you got on it. Next question. What's the biggest problem for humans, and what should we do to fix it?
Biggest problem for humans, they're too worried about what other people are doing and not worried enough about what they're doing.
I like that. Yeah.
What would you do how would you implement a fix for that? A systematic fix.
Your Instagram only shows you yourself.
I don't know. Maybe we need like a whole 30 days of just a social media shutdown. Make people call people again, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Old-fashioned ways to connect.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Next question. What's your favorite food or dish?
Favorite food or dish? I like Chamorro food from Guam.
I was going to ask you.
It would probably have to be teriyaki chicken with red rice and
red rice. I'm sorry, what was that last part? Red rice and what?
Lumpia.
Okay. Yeah, red rice.
That's a good plate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any Chamorro restaurants in Vegas, right?
There's off 215 in Eastern.
Oh.
Red rice, right?
Yeah. Oh, you been?
I've always wanted to go, but every time I pass through Vegas, it's way out of my way.
Dude, you got to come for the funeral convention and crash on our couch, and we'll.
All right.
and then I'll take you to Red Rice.
Sounds like
yeah.
All right, last question. Shout out to friends. Call out 2 friends you think that should do this conversation.
Oh, who would you like to see on this podcast?
That's a good one. 2 friends I think should do the podcast.
I want to hear from that dude that got scared and hung out in the van when you guys saw the ghosts.
I would say one of them would be.
Did your audio go weird?
Audio.
We're losing Dave's audio.
Am I still here?
Yeah, it just sounds like you're in a tin can, so I don't know, something changed.
It went like super treble, no bass. As if like a chord. You're not. You just talking through your phone?
Yeah, but my phone's kind of at a distance.
We're all about that bass.
Did by chance the audio hole like get covered by any chance?
No.
Phone might be overheating.
Oh.
Oh well. That's the very end, right?
Yeah, that's the last question.
Is there anybody you would recommend to come on podcast with Liem?
Yeah, I'd recommend one of my best friends in San Diego, in the business as well, but he's the one that pretty much taught me.
Nice.
Henry Nicochea.
Henry? All right, awesome.
He's one of the best bassists I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he can play like Les Claypool from practice. And ton of stories. I know he's got a ton of stories.
Nice. Henry, we're coming after your rock star stories.
Awesome. All right. Do you want to? You got a second one by chance?
Probably. I'll say my boss, Denise.
Yeah.
She's actually went to mortuary college.
Oh.
Which I didn't go, so she might have some other stories.
Yeah. Totally different perspectives, even on the same industry. That's awesome.
Nice.
Cool. All right. Do you happen to have a cup with you? We'll cheers to the end.
Sure do.
Good to meet you, Dave. Thanks for spending time with us.
David, it was a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your knowledge.
Anytime, guys. You have a good weekend.
All right. Thank you, man.
Yeah.